Today we get to try a new data display. It is the Box and Whisker plot. Very fun, the Box and Whisker plot. We're going to start by just kind of putting the steps down to creating this type of data display. And then we'll make a few together before you start. This won't take long. So when we're using the Box and Whisker, we're dividing our whole set of data into guess how many parts? Not two, but what do you think? Three?
One.
Four parts. And so how many four whats are in a dollar?
Quarters.
4 quarters. So we're dividing our data into 4 quarters, 4 quadrants. So Box and Whisker is a way to do that. Dividing the data into 4 parts. Making a Box and Whisker is something you've done before. And the first thing we need to do is take all of the data and put it into what type of order do you think? Hannah? Yep, least to greatest. We often do that with data for all of our data displays, but definitely doing it with this data display. Once we have put it in order from least to greatest, then we're going to try to figure out how to cut it into 4, right? So what would be the first way we could cut the data? We could find the what? Here's the whole wide piece of data. It goes anywhere from a small number to a great number. So if you're going to cut it into 4, you can start by just cutting it into 2, right? And so what is that piece of data that's in the middle? The median. We got to find the median. Or it may not be a single piece of data. We might have to find the mean of 2, right? Then we could take the 2 halves and do the same thing, right? We could cut those 2 halves into upper and lower by finding the medians of those 2 halves. So once we have taken the entire data and found the middle of those 2, we put a box around the lower and upper quartiles. So we put a box and then we extend the whiskers out to the extreme pieces of data, the biggest piece of data and the lowest piece of data, smallest piece of data. So if we look at this little, really general sample that I just drew, we could identify some pieces of the Box and Whisker. This point here would be the lower extreme. So the upper extreme would be the greatest point here. And then we have the 4 parts. We have this area here, which is the lower quartile. Lower quartile. The upper quartile is from the box to the upper extreme, right? That's the upper fourth. So you can put upper quartile. And then in this region here, we have 2 quarters, don't we? Right? So we call that the interquartile range. Okay? So if you see those words, that's what that means. You have 4 quarters. And you might see those words in your assignment. Let's go ahead and make a Box and Whisker for this data. The nice thing about this data is it's already in least to greatest form, okay? We don't have to put it in that form. There are an even number of numbers here. The next example will show an odd number of values. So there's a little trick to each of these, depending on the number of data that you have. So take the numbers down. I'm going to pause the video. If you're watching it on video, pause and write the numbers down so you have them. Because they're already in order least to greatest, what we might want to do first is find the median of the whole entire set, right? So we have how many pieces of data here? Has anyone counted? 10 pieces. So if we're going to find the median, will that be one number or will it be the mean of the two ones in the middle? It'll be the mean because there's 10, right? So we can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. These are the two numbers in the middle. And how does one find the mean?
Add those two, then divide by 2.
What do you think the mean's going to be for 52 and 52?
52.
It's going to be 52, right? So 52 is the median of the entire set. Now, the 52 that we have as a median was the average of those two 52s, right? When we go to find the median of the lower quartile is from 25 all the way to this 52. We have 5 values, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, an odd number. And so it's easy to find the median of an odd number of values, isn't it? What's the median of this lower quartile? 48. We did not have to find the mean, did we? That is the median of a lower quartile. Now how about up here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What's the median of this group?
57.
Anybody? Everybody. It is 57, that value that's right in the middle. Okay? Okay, so when it's time to make your box and whisker, you need to make sure your data is least to greatest and you find these 3 medians, right? Now, the other thing we need to do is we want the box and whisker to have a certain scale to it. So the first thing is to make kind of a ruler, okay? This is not my box and whisker, I'm just making a ruler where I could place the box and whisker under it or on top of it, depending on what you want to do. I want to make sure that the least and greatest value can be included on this, right? So the least value here is a nice number, it's 25. The greatest value is 75, right? I could actually have those be on the ends of this ruler, but just to make it a little different, I'm going to go with 0 is down here on the ruler, and I'm going to go with 100 here. Okay? If I have 0 to 100 on this ruler, what would be in the middle?
50.
So I'm just making something that is to scale, a little ruler that is to scale. What would be half of 0 to 50?
25.
And then between 50 and 100 we have 75. Okay, now we're ready to make the box and whisker, and we have a nice ruler laid out so we can show the data and the scale that we have here. I can actually do my box and whisker on top of this ruler. I'm going to use a different color. The median of the entire set, we said, was 52. So 52 is right about here, right? So I draw the middle, the median of the entire range. The median of the lower quartile is 48, so I'm going to draw that as well. The median of the upper quartile is 57, over here. And so I'm going to box this interquartile range. What's the last thing we have to do? It's called box and whisker. So we need our whiskers. We have our box, where are our whiskers? How do we make our whiskers? The extremes. What's the lower extreme? 25. So I'm going to put a value at 25 and then connect it to my box. The upper extreme is
75.
70 the same. And connect it. And there you go. You have a box and whisker. Half of the data falls between 48 and 57. So the box shows you the central tendency of all of the data. It tends to be toward this center value of 52. But we do have 25% of the data, a quarter of the data out here, and a quarter of the data out here. Okay? Making the box and whisker is different when you have an odd set of data. So take this little set down and let's make a box and whisker for it. There are 7 numbers here. That's an odd number of numbers. Okay? So we're not taking the mean of 2 numbers like we did up there with the 52s, are we? These are in order, least to greatest. So what is the median, everyone?
3.
It's this 3 here. That is the median. Okay? Now, how do we find the median of the lower and upper quartiles? The trick is, people often wonder, do we keep the 3? If I kept the 3, then I would be looking at a group that is 1, 2, 3, 3, right? If I don't keep the 3, then I'm just looking at 1, 2, 3. And that would actually be easier, wouldn't it? Just looking at 1, 2, 3? What would the median of 1, 2, 3 be? 2. And that's what you do. You do the easier thing. Isn't that nice? Okay, so let's find the median of the upper quartile, and it is 5. Easy. It's 5 right there in front of you. So when you have an odd set of data, you really have to simply find the median and then kind of ignore that median and find the median of the lower and the upper. It's like you have odd sets of numbers in every case. Okay? So let's go ahead and make the box and whisker. So what would you want to show on your little ruler?
1,
You'd want to
5.
show 1 and 5 for sure. We could just make it that long if you want. You can have 1 be down here and 5 be here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Once again, we're just finding these medians. We found this big median at 3. Found a median at 2. And a median at 5. Interesting. So there's our interquartile range. Half of the data, 50% of the data is there. And now where are the extremes? Do you see? I'm sorry if this is not lined up perfectly. It's just the board is needing calibration. We have the lower extreme is? The lower extreme is 1, right? So here it is down here, and draw your whisker. The upper extreme is? It ends up, it's also our median. Do you see that? So this is the world's shortest whisker. It's just a little dot. And that's that. Question? Okay, so how about one last try for the box and whisker, and what do you see that's different here? Not in least to greatest. Who can tell us this order in least to greatest? Who can reorder? Alana, can you reorder it for us? What's the smallest value?
2,
And then?
3,
And then?
4,
And then?
4,
And then?
5,
Go ahead.
7, 8, 9,
50. Okay. So we have, again, an odd number of data. And what is going on with my video? Is it videoing? Can anybody see? It is. Thumbs up when you have the median of the entire set. And the median is? Good. And how about finding the median of, the median of a lower quartile? What do you notice? Even number. So what are we going to do? We're going to find the mean of these two, right? And that is 3.5. Good. 3 plus 4 is 7, divided by 2 is 3.5. Or halfway between 3 and 4 is 3.5. And how about the median of the upper quartile? Rachel, do you know? Very good. She says it would be the mean of these, so it's 8.5. Okay, what must we show on our box and whisker? We got to show all the data. You know that, right? So what would your ruler look like that you're using to show this data? Chris? Okay, Riley is suggesting that we go from 0 to 50. That would contain all of our values, and it's also easy to cut up into pieces, right? Halfway between 0 and 50, 25. Halfway between 0 and 25 is 12.5. And when we add 12.5 here, we would have 37.5. Okay, very quickly, our median is 5. Wow, it's way down here. Our lower quartile is 3.5. Upper quartile is 8.5. Look where our box is. Good, so 50 is our outlier, making this a very fun fun thing. Right, whoops. Here's your